the heathen back again on the wall. Rise up, fallen fighters, rise and take your stance again. Is he who fights and run away? Live to fight another day, and the heathen back again on the wall. 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 As a man, so shall he reap. And I know that talk is cheap. But the battles are battles. And the street that the victory. And the heathen battle on the wall. 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 Liberate thyself now, brothers, from out of slavery. Higher than must approach higher God's way. We must pray higher. Never try to give up or even will take control. So, see them, 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 see them. See them, see them, see them. See the heathen back on the wall. 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 Rise up, fallen fathers. Rise and take their stands again. Is he who fights and run away? Live to fight another day. The sun and the heathen
See them a scatter. Watching them scatter.
Let them know now where you stand. To the powers of the Most High God. We gotta talk down Babylon with the heathen back on the wall. The heathen back on the wall. The heathen back on the wall.
Oh boy, I tell you, they might get some whips. Whole time through. Whole time through. I don't feel sorry for them, you know.
Girl, I wanna give you good love, good love.
So what a wicked people they are. What a wicked people they are.
Girl, I wanna show you what's up, what's up, what's up. Girl, I wanna show you what's up. So girl, I say I love the way you walk, love the way you talk. Woman, you're smart.
Not yet, not yet. Let me give it. Big man.
Try, even tears, even my heart cries, but who cares? Whose fault? No one but myself. Things do happen, words can't explain. Beyond the human reasoning, joy mixed with pain. People would spend time just for us to separate. They don't want to see us reach nowhere. Oh girl, and you know I care. Why does it have to be this way? Can't tell you go, can't tell you to say. Just one of those days. Just one of those days. Am I too humble or ignorant? Things began to find nothing seems important. Oh, my girl had left me and gone. Just want to see her in another round. The essence of her beauty and the charm, the perfume still lingers. Oh, damn, you remember, girl, where we coming from? Oh, I'm the one to whom you belong. Oh, yeah, girl, you keep me strong. You and you alone, no other one. Why does it have to be this way? Can't tell you to go, can't tell you to stay. Just one of those days, just one of those days. Keep looking to see you. At my gate, listening to hear the phone ring by the fireplace. Now somewhere out there, it's my girl. Now where can I find her in this world? Still not gonna break down, nor beside even though I'm stressed up, fed up and feeling that I just can't do without her. Oh, child, still I got to try. Why does it have to be this way? Can't tell her to go, can't tell her to stay. Just one of those days. Just one of those days. Is this happening for real? Only if you know the vibes what I feel. Still trying to do my best. And I still won't lose my interest. Yeah. Marco, I love you so.
What is going to be the rhythm
Why does it
of the
have to
road
be
march
this
this
way?
year?
Can't tell you go, can't tell you stay. Just one of those days. Just one of those days. Oh, try. Even tears, even my heart's cries, but who
We're
cares?
live and direct
Who's
coming up
part no one
on the
but
Galaxy of
Things
Awida.net.
do happen, words
Also on
can't
the
explain.
Facebook.
Beyond the
Also on
human
the
reasoning, joy mixed with
Blacknificent
pain.
Radio Show
People would spend time just for us to separate.
right here for Uno.
There's no one for us to reach nowhere. Oh, girl, you
don't
know
know if
I
I
care.
do it,
Oh, why does it have to be this way? Can't tell her to go, can't tell her to stay. Oh, just one of those days, just one of those days. Am I too hungry or ignorant? Things began to fight, nothing seems important. Oh, my girl that left me and gone. Should see her with you now to make them know that's straightforward. The essence of her beauty and the tone, her perfume still lingers. Oh, damn girl.
Bilingualists. We are experts in all of that, man. We are experts in all of that. Welcome to the Blacknificent Show here on the Galaxy of We.net. Boy, as we do on the first hour of the thing. Let's do some edification first. Big up all the management of the Galaxy Studio and the Galaxy firm over the years that we have gone. Those who are present, those who are past, and those who are to come as well. All of them management there, right? We have varieties of what we deal with. But we always have that message of de-brainwashing, the only de-brainwashing station right here in England based. But we're talking to the world. We're talking to the world. There's people out there, so I'm telling you, there's people out there, so who don't like what is being heard, said from this platform. They come and try and venerate us. They try to push us into certain categories of pure lie. Pure lie. Pure lie. Because all we do is take their actions and show them their frivolity, their failings, the foolishness that they are carrying on.
The culture of self-sustainability.
Rodney called me to say, hey, how can I lend a hand to spit some knowledge? So I was happy to come out here. 17 plus acres?
17 and a half acres.
Yeah,
See, it used to be a bed and breakfast.
Right.
And when the pandemic hit, we didn't want to do that anymore, so we went straight agriculture.
Right.
We know here in Tulsa that it's been a food desert.
Flying over this place was crazy when I saw how much land with nothing on it, with grass. It's insane that you guys are considered you're a food desert.
And we found out we are the only Black farm in North Tulsa. And so I'm excited to know more about, how I can get our food, not just here for my family, but to the greater community.
Growing your own food is like printing your own money. And that's what we need to be doing.
I hear you. Ron is in a lot in LA or in California somewhere doing this stuff. And I'm like, wait, here I am sitting on 17 acres. How can I maximize our resources? So I reached out to him. He might be able to help. I had a lot of difficulty. Our weather is crazy. I mean, 1 minute it might be 110 degrees. Right. And then the next minute we might have a tornado warning, a thunderstorm or something.
So how many seasons were you good for? One?
I would say a fourth of the summer.
Have you thought about a greenhouse?
Yes, we have. And that's been the struggle with the United States Department of Agriculture funding. We tried to do that and we weren't selected because they ran out of funds. And it seems like when it comes down to Black farms,
they run out of funds.
They always run out of funds.
Funds are missing.
Yeah, all of a sudden we don't have enough funds, and that could really help us tremendously.
So let's make it happen. Whatever it's gonna take, let's make that happen.
Man, I would love that. I would love it.
I got some friends in low places, so let me see if I can make a couple of phone calls. I think we can make that happen.
The idea of us being able to go to another level and provide food for our community and for ourselves is very exciting for me. I'm going to use anything I can to learn as much as I can and spend as much time with him as I possibly can. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Yes, sir.
All right. Let me grab a cart. All right. This is fancy. Hi, how you doing?
Sweet. No one ever talks to me at the grocery store. We're still in North Tulsa.
We've been enjoying the scenery. We've been learning. And today we're getting a chance to take a deep dive into a problem that has really plagued this community, which is access to fresh, healthy food. This is great. We've been hearing a lot about this place. I'm happy to be here.
It's a grocery store that recently opened here in North Tulsa, and they're hoping to completely change the landscape of food offerings here in this part of the city.
And we're here to meet the people responsible for it. And part of what makes this so exciting for us is that we get to meet one of our heroes, Ron Finley. He is the gangster gardener, you know what I mean?
This is the first Black-owned grocery store in North Tulsa in over 50 years.
Wow.
And the first full-service grocery store with fresh and healthy access in over 14 years.
That's amazing.
So this is a historic photo. This is Mann's Brothers Grocery Store, and it was a family that existed pre and post the Tulsa Race Massacre.
Oh, wow.
A lot of people call it a riot, but we call it a massacre.
Right.
And so some of the people in this picture, that picture is still alive today, and they've actually visited the store.
Wow.
And so Black entrepreneurship is very important. To me, certainly when you have a proliferation of these discount stores, they create food deserts. So I said, no, this is not healthy for my community. Here in Tulsa, there was a study done, and it showed a 14-year life expectancy gap between people who lived in North Tulsa and people who lived in white South Tulsa. 14-year.
That's real.
I know, that's right. Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand, is to change people's DNA. Stop going to these box store drive-thrus and get a box of food that's supposed to be food.
Yeah.
It's not
We're
food.
a fast food oasis in my community.
We need to get back to slow food.
Yeah.
And food has always brought our communities together.
Come on.
Okay. We talk about the church picnic, the family reunion. AJ's energy is infectious, and it's amazing to see what they've accomplished with Oasis, given all the hurdles that they've had to overcome.
Gonna work on with a farmer, Rodney Clark. Probably gonna put up something where he can grow more food, because there's a problem here, they think, with the weather and everything, but we got some solution. Work on with him.
He can build things, so I don't know if this person needs help with building.
That's what it's about, is collaboration.
Right.
I'm all about
Well, if I wasn't married to this woman, she would ditch me in a heartbeat. Like, that's wrong. It would happen like that. So thank you for allowing me to marry her and keep her away
First
from
of
me.
all, he needs to be thanking you because now we grow our own food.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Absolutely.
He complained about building my garden, but now it produces food, and our kids love picking. Like, we literally pick carrots for Easter.
If you grow it, you know it.
Yeah.
This is all about collaboration, because like I like to say, if you grow together, you grow together, and that's what we need to do. You guys down? Come on, let's make it happen.
Let's get to it. I definitely want to meet the guy, and I'm ready to build something. Just help out however we can. Very nice to meet you.
Coming up, can we get this started yesterday? I know that's a hell of a task, and I know you know what this means to Rodney and his farm.
You doing the rundown?
Yes.
Okay, these are for the groups that are coming. They've already confirmed.
They have confirmed. The new one, though, is Be Heard.
They're the homeless outreach.
Yes.
In underserved areas, there's a lack of hope. And that's why it's so important that we're more than just a grocery store. People can get utility and rent assistance, financial literacy, mental health services, but also access to fresh and healthy groceries.
Do we have enough detergent?
We need towels and washcloths and men's clothing.
Men's and women's, or is it just doing men's?
We've got a great team here at Oasis. We were intentional about hiring North Tulsa residents because we believe that's how you transform a community.
I need y'all to help brainstorm on how do we connect and re-engage with people, because sometimes we only see customers when we're doing outreaches. Sometimes we're only in a place where people come to us when they have a need rather than constant support. They're shopping somewhere. Why are they not shopping at a grocery store that gives back, that does the outreaches, that has showers? So if y'all can think through some ideas of how do we just not make them event-driven customers, but how we can really make it full circle so they're reoccurring customers. On this very ground in the 60s was a Black-owned grocery store. Right now, we're only one independent grocer. We don't have the power of stores that have massive warehouses, that have barges where they can ship their own product in. And so the struggles of always trying on a daily basis, where's the money coming from? How are we going to make payroll? So many people need jobs. I don't have partners. I don't have VC firms. And in order to get bank funding, you have to be at a certain threshold. And it's like, we're just trying to do good. We're trying to do good. Sorry. And so I love what we do and what we get a chance to do every single day in reaching people. But it's the hardest thing I've ever done. But you still wake up and say, it's my honor to serve you. And it's a daily fight, but we know that we're called to do it.
Lineage, and I think we got a good chance of working together very well. And for me, I'm excited. I grew up in the city, but now that I'm a farmer, man, it's just a good deal to be able to bring that fresh product to the community. And I think this connection we got here now is going to be awesome.
It's just like what my grandfather and them used to do, was trying to connect us together as Black businesses to keep that dollar moving within our community.
Yes, sir.
So that's why this, for me, is kind of surreal. And that's why I love it so much.
Yeah. With Tracy and with her husband, has a good meat market. And I know that we can work well together. With our beef, I think we can really help him move to another level. And I also sell chickens. Chickens, man, I got about 50 of them on their way. I also do produce. And we're getting ready to get this new greenhouse. I'm excited about it. And so when we get the greenhouse, we'll be able to do year round. If we can work something out, man, I'll be excited about working with you. Pull all that together, man, we're going to be back into Black Wall Street like we were years and years ago.
It's kind of what your grandfather would say. We're not asking for a hand out. We're asking for a hand up. So all of us working together said hand up.
There we go. For the greenhouse, After the bows comes the purlins, and using those purlins to get everything level. Then we set the concrete in. That's gonna be pretty much it. Yeah, we're gonna get this cover on. Okay.
I was wondering, can I use these feed sacks?
Yes, this is prime.
Tear them open, and we can use them to mulch the soil. Like I was saying, you can put these on the ground. This will decompose. This is carbon. It'll be good for the soil. Because what you need to start doing is composting and making your own soil.
Okay.
Also, I want to see you selling starters. You start them in the pots, and you start the seeds, put them in the 4-inch pots, and sell those. That's another revenue stream. A leaf has value. A worm has value. Soil is magic, and it has a value. At the end of the day, knowledge has value. If we have resources around us, we need to put them to work.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Instead of just letting them squander. Think about it, right? This is Black Wall Street, and it is like recirculating our resources. That's what it's about. We don't look at it like that because the only thing we look at as resource is money. All of this is a resource. So let's use it.
So what you're saying made me think about, my family. My dad has always been an entrepreneur, and my brothers and I are always like, man, I wish that Dad would have taught us how he ran his business. The family bank is not just about passing down money, it's about passing down the knowledge. And that's what I think a lot of us are missing. But I love that you're still learning. We're all still learning every single day. And, even doing this and figuring out how you can use your resources to make what you're doing now, better.
I'll teach as many as I can, to learn how to do this. And this is a part of that whole spirit. And I'm liking that. That's what we do.
Yeah.
You never too young, never too old to learn. I've learned a lot in the last couple of days, just talking to Ron in this conversation and knowing what I got to do. I feel like I've already been through the master class, but there's more to learn from the master.
We're going to mulch the walkways.
Mulching time.
At the same time, it's like healing and creating soil. We need to get back to the soil and building the soil. We'll use some of the cardboard that he already has here. We'll use some of the bags that he already has here. And then we'll just put bark and wood chips on top of the cardboard. And that's gonna increase the water retention in the soil. And it's also gonna decrease the weeds. You wanna layer them over each other.
So it doesn't grow in between?
Yes.
Oh, these feed sacks, they coming in handy.
Yes,
Yep.
Okay, so after it's broke down, is this an area where I can actually plant?
Yes, because you're right now you're building the soil.
So as the soil gets healthy, the plants stay healthy.
That's right. And then as the plants stay healthy.
Because how we like to
No,
eat.
you didn't finish that.
Then
the plants stay healthy.
We stay healthy.
That's right.
That part.
There it is.
Oh man, what's going on over here, y'all?
So we are separating these out.
Yeah, I'm sweating. You looking beautiful with no glistening, no sweat. So
that's fine. I can glow.
You can glow?
I can just glow.
Well, I still got a lot of work to do.
Okay.
You guys want to follow me around and we can do some chores?
Yeah. Give her the full farm experience because she thinks when we get back to Houston, she wants to start her own farm. I told her make sure she get all the things.
Okay.
So put it on the tractor.
Yeah, on the tractor.
Yes. Show me all the fun stuff.
No, don't show her none of the fun stuff. Show her the hard stuff. So
I get to pretend to be a farmer for a day.
So the rabbit poop is great fertilizer.
Okay.
Put those gloves on. You can hold the sack. We just been using this for the garden.
That is so smart. Do you feed them once a day?
I feed them once a day.
Okay.
And I usually have to check the water.
Okay.
It's kind of empty.
Okay.
And there's a water jug right behind you that's full.
Okay.
And you just fill that up. Yep, look at you. I don't think Mary's ever been on a farm before, but it's exciting to see new people come in and learn how to do these things that I do every day. What we're gonna do, we're gonna throw some feed out there to them when we get in.
Oh, it's
there
a trick.
you go. Just throw some feed over there. They're gonna go get it.
Over there. Okay, that worked.
Yeah, it's like Easter egg hunting.
Oh my gosh, my kids would love this.
Well, I got another surprise for you. I think you'll like this too.
Oh, snap.
Are you ready to drive it? Can you get up on there, Mary?
Well,
Yeah.
You have your own house that you built on your land.
Yes.
And then you get to then share that with everybody and share it with me.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you so
ma'am.
much. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. Boom!
Yeah.
Got the door on?
Booyah! There it is.
I was really pleasantly surprised to walk over and see a completely done greenhouse.
This is awesome. I mean, this is like, wow, no words.
How's this going to change, like, your growing? What was the goal when you put this up? Like, what was the goal to be able to do?
The goal was to start growing immediately as soon as we can. So this is going to extend our growing season for months. You know, Steve has said that when you get here in the wintertime, it's going to be cold and snow outside, but when you go inside, it's going to be warm and you're just going to be working.
You're going to probably have to lace Steve with probably first half dozen watermelons.
I mean,
because I know you got those sugar babies back there.
Oh, yeah.
Because he did us a good one.
He did us a good one, and I know he likes that watermelon. Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Seeing this hoop house being completed, that was amazing. So we were really thankful that we got people that could make that happen that quick.
Man.
Wow.
Oh, this is awesome.
Feel the humidity.
Yes.
Oh, feel the heat.
I could immediately feel the heat and the humidity inside that greenhouse. I mean, it wasn't even all the way on yet.
And it's almost like you could feel the plants starting to thrive even more.
This thing already working.
It is. I can see those cantaloupes trying to grow.
This is going to be really good for those watermelons too.
Yeah, absolutely. They are.
They're going to have a constant temperature.
I'm just excited about everything. It's like it's all coming together. I see the things that you've been teaching, Ron, in terms of where you can put the mulch and where you can put the feed sacks and things like that, and use as much space as possible.
Yes.
You know, even the airspace. And I appreciate everybody. This is awesome. I want to get some tears. I hate to see you go, but when you come back, know that we're going to enjoy some good watermelon, some good squash, tomatoes. Yes,
well, we're just so grateful for you sharing all this with us.
Yeah.
And I mean, Steve, it was so great to meet you. And thank you for teaching John how to build this, because you know it's my turn.
It's coming your way.
Coming your way.
Green can really get an entire farm. I'm starting to sweat profusely.
Yes.
So if y'all don't mind, I'll get out of this greenhouse. I know it works, Steve. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
I might want to stay here for
1, 2, 1, 2. Yes. Again. Yes, so we've had our ancestral voices here. Yes. Right, so simulation the same type of entrepreneurial experience. Over the years, we've had it. Yeah. Can you hear me now, please? Yes. He's nodding our head in our green names. Thank you. Hold up. Thank you, sir. I know we don't talk to you often, but you know what? Thank you for the weather, sir. It's really good.
It's low, but I can hear you now.
It's low.
Yep.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Beautiful. Technology is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's definitely working.
As usual, your voice is more powerful than mine as it comes through.
Okay.
Because obviously you got up to date computer there. Yeah, I'm still winding my. Anyhow, as I was explaining, ancestral voices is different. They're selected. It's a series of documentaries, right? Rebuilding Black Wall Street. Rebuilding Black Wall Street. That excerpt what I took from there was episode number 4. Right? So if you want to look that up, you get Rebuilding Black Wall Street. Okay? And then you can watch the entire series. You can also get that segment on the Blacknificent Radio show, Activation page 5. If you come in there, show your appreciation. Okay?
You're low.
Low?
Very low.
We're coming too strong in here. We're coming too strong. Okay.
No, you're cutting in and out. It's very low.
Oh dear. I'm going to do this. Right, I am up.
Sounds better. That sounds better.
It sounds better.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'll put in a reverb through the speakers in the studio. Yeah. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Strange, but true. Okay. How are you, my sister? Welcome. Welcome to the program.
I'm feeling highly blessed and favored. Nice reverbing.
Okay. Right. As you can see, I'm looking a little bit more different. Right? I've got no sleeves today. I've got my things out.
You're 1 year younger.
Huh?
You're 1 year younger.
Yeah. I'm on my 64th cycle.
And your 64th cycle wiser.
Yeah. We're starting on our 64th cycle. Who's that? Somebody's doing some homework somewhere. Okay. Right. So I'm just saying that it's just a blessing that we can continue. So I've got another how much now? 35 to go.
Well, nothing wrong with saying 3 school years plus 40.
Listen, that is for them. We do things different. Countrymen do things different. You know that already. Come on now. Real countryman. Real countryman. Yeah. And yeah, so listen, as I was saying, the ancestral voices was taken from that thing about Tulsa, right? So it's rebuilding Tulsa or rebuilding the Black Wall Street. Now, obviously, there's various other episodes on there, and it goes through all aspects of things which are happening in that region as we speak, right? That are regenerating it as for the Black community. It's just like many places, unfortunately, there has been a lack of funding, right? Basically, the government and the country is hell bent of saying, hell no, we don't want them type of things happening again, right? Where they've got an independent town. Why would they want that? But obviously, we see the reason why, because they're not even feeding their own people, right? And the people there have obviously lost a lot of heart, and they've lost a lot of impetus of survival, which has been a very important aspect of them actually regenerating the area. Because obviously, if you build something and it's working, guess what? You're going to attract other people into it as well. But somebody chopping down something up there. Anyway. Yes, my sister. So how are you? And how are things going for you right now? And how did your event go?
Oh, it went. You was that me. That tells me you wasn't there.
I know I wasn't there.
I've got an echo.
Oh gosh. Oh, Lord. Guys, that's pretty fun. Go ahead now.
But it went really well. Some really good forward that I will take for feedback. And in like I've done some work in the background. So I've uploaded more of myself. Speaking about if you don't recognize the change, you'll end up with. I even saw an article in the Sunday Gleaner speaking about
the Gleaner. Yes, yeah. Beautiful.
talking about the technology and recognizing then. So it looked at, there were two different articles, one in relation to TikTok and monetizing the shares, and how as Jamaicans are we, or are they doing that, taking the opportunities that are available, because once it used to be seen as something that wasn't necessarily recognized. It was seen as, oh, it's just a little bit of fun, but there's money to be had, so why not? And then the other one was looking at the article by MIT graduates in relation to three groups, a study that they did with three different groups of individuals.
Yes.
So they all were tasked with writing a paper based on and having 4 opportunities to do so. So one group was tasked with a pen and paper, good old fashioned, let's do it. The other group was tasked with making use of our good old friend, Mr. or Mrs. Google. And the third group were tasked with just using AI, ChatGPT predominantly, but in order to help and assist them. And they came back with was that those who had used pen and paper, their retention levels and their brain activity was greater than those who had just used the technology.
Because they're active, yes.
They did ask those who were using the technology to use their brain, but they'd only given them one chance of doing that, so they didn't, again, their levels were low. So my understanding, recognition of that is that you cannot, and I will always say in my presentations and my events, that you've always got to keep the human in the loop. And just because you've put a prompt into the technology, whether it be ChatGPT, whether it be a large language model, whether it be part of the audio series of models, whether it be part of the automation models, whether it be part of the video models, regardless of which of the models you're using, and you put in an instruction, putting in the instruction, as humans, we fill in the gaps and we fill in the fluffy bits around the edges. So you could only say, sometimes you say to someone, but you're reading my mind because that's just what I was thinking. Or you say, if you come into a conversation in the midway into a conversation and the person's caught up and you're thinking, hang on a minute, you understand what I'm saying? We don't say that, but we just continue the conversation because they understand. But when you're working with a large language model that does things literally, you need to ensure that you go right to the gaps, you go right to the edges, and you fill in. So if you want emotions, you write down that you require emotions. Talk about the type of emotions you want. If you're asking for an instruction, clearly define the instruction step by step in order to get the output. And then once you've done that and it gives you back the output, don't just assume then that output is exactly as I was thinking, because to be fair, when we then look at it again, we may think, hang on a minute, I didn't mean this. Why is it that large language model didn't understand that I didn't mean this? The large language model doesn't know the difference between a bear and a bear. It sees the words and it will make an interpretation, but it doesn't necessarily understand what one will frighten the creatures out of you and the other one that you reveal. So we need to recognize, and that article encourages me, and I will encourage others to recognize the human in the loop. Always remember that as a human being in a physical form, that you have the final say. So you need to read it over, you need to peruse it over, you need to go back in if necessary in order to give it greater clarity or to define what it is that you were looking to extract before you then go ahead and press the send or the publish or the whatever. And I suppose it's a bit like back in the day when we were just getting used to WhatsApp or SMS messages or emails. And we realized if we sent an email and it went out incorrectly, we could retrieve it if the person hasn't opened it.
Unlike some of the platforms, once it's sent, it's sent.
Yeah. And many a joke was said that you'll be in your offices, you'll be in your places of work, and you've got an angry email, or you've got an email that it hits the mark for you, but you know that it's not, you just want to get it off your press.
Yeah.
And you press send unwittingly. And that email's now in the hands of the bosses, the supervisors, the friends, the family, and the ability to retrieve it is hard. So just be mindful then that when you're using your large language models, they are a tool. And I loved one of the articles I was reading in the Jamaica Gleaner where they were talking about back in the day when children were allowed to, I've still got my neck, okay, but when children were allowed to use calculators. The education system was almost, should we? Okay, we'll allow them to do it.
Yeah.
It raised the bar rather than lowered the bar. So the large language models can raise it, just depends on how you use it.
Pause there a second.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say once they were allowed to use calculators,
it
raised the bar?
Yes, because then the way that they formulated the questions were slightly different. So it's not so much the answer. Now it's the working out. Now you have to show how you got to the working out. So there's greater detail. So they're looking at different things, and then they're putting more into it because you've got the aid of technology to help you with the answers. So when you're doing it longhand with a piece of paper, you may only add 10 questions. Now you've got the use of a calculator. They're doubling those questions, and the percentage mark for pass or fail has been shifted accordingly. So what I'm saying, and I agree in that article, embrace the technology because it can work. The education system, as we're doing now, is not just embracing the AI. It's dissuading. We've got lots of different tools that can be used to disseminate whether or not, or to work out whether or not someone has used AI in order to produce the paper, the end of term paper. They're being lazy if they're just using AI in order to.
Of course, sir. And you see what you just said there? Right? This is why, and this is only my opinion, people, family, my opinion. They should, in my opinion, have 2 separate examinations, right? One where there is no technology or added technology. Yes.
Does that include calculators?
Huh?
Does that include calculators?
Yes. So that you would write it out longhand, as we used to say, right? And have the calculations. You do the calculations in your head. Obviously, when it's like logarithms and things like this, or those graph things, you would have that. You would have that information, but the actual calculated a part of it, you would have to do yourself. And then after that, you can have technological enhanced examination. That's my opinion.
I disagree with your opinion wholeheartedly and strongly.
Go on. Why?
Because the way that we're moving from a technology point of view, we need to understand it. So why are we not allowing our children, the ones, whether they be in the UK or whether they be in Jamaica or whether or not they be in other parts of the world, why are we not allowing our young children to harness that technology and to be part of the growth?
Right. I will tell you why. Because like being a craftsman as I am, and I'm very glad that I grew up in the time that I had, right? When I was in school, calculators were not allowed.
Yeah.
Right?
You were of that generation. I was of that generation.
Right. Calculators were not allowed. Right? When we went into the examinations and we came out, right, there was a large percentage that were not in the 90% and above percentile of the passing. Okay, it's a large one, right? Soon as it, like 2 years later, but it was in the sixth form, all of a sudden, 80% of the children are getting 90% and above. And I'm thinking, how is that possible? How is that possible? And like in my opinion, right, if you say, okay, then write it out. Oh, let me get my calculator out. It's like how everybody could say, oh, let me look at Google. They got no inner knowledge. They got no knowledge within themselves. You understand? Right? So they're relying on technology in preference of experiencing it, knowing what it is, knowing where to point at a map and be within that region of where we're trying to put a location on. You understand?
So then I would question.
Hold on, but I'm not taking away for the fact of what technological developments there are, but we still should be the master of that. We still should have that in depth, because if the power cuts off, does everything stop? Yeah, you hear what I'm saying? That is a thing. It's that, and as you mentioned earlier on, to leave that human element into there, right? Just like what you said. Those who were doing it longhand, right? Their mental faculties were switched on because that is what they were using. Yeah. But outside of that, right? If you're relying on technological development to initiate their ideas and everything else, right? As you say, it's a tool. It's a tool, right? Not the fact that, oh, you're the one who's going to go forward and we're going to do exactly what that says. That's an assistant. That's an assistant. Understand? Yeah? So,
yeah, as long as you teach your assistant right, and you have the right conversations with your assistant. So if I think back to early working, and you used to have those in the typing area, typing pools, and they will be typing a conversation. They'd have to sit down there, write it out shorthand, then type it up, and then get it back, and then do any corrections, and back and forth a few times before it actually sent out to all those who were present. That takes long. What we need to do is just embrace the change, but we need to understand where it sits. So I wouldn't necessarily say you'd have two types of exams, but what I would say is that you talk about, you invite the technology into the conversation. So that means you can teach someone and teach young children how to read a map longhand.
Orientate, go and orientate just around your local area, even.
And then you can show them shorthand and just explain the rationale behind why the advances of technology means it's faster, because most of us, I would imagine, at least over 75% of drivers will use that thing called Google Maps or one of the other.
Instead of the A to Z.
Yeah, rather than I used to use A to Z, and I used to look for, many a time I've traveled and driven and looked for a church steeple, because then if I can work out where the church steeple is, then I can work out where I'm going in relation to the building. It was a landmark that was visible. Whereas now with my Google Maps, I don't have to worry about that. I can keep driving, not Google Maps, with any of those technology, I can keep driving because it will tell me left, right, or center. Again, sometimes it gets it wrong, because if it's not been updated, you'll end up on a dead end. You'll end up on a cul-de-sac or on a road that didn't exist 6 months ago, 6 days ago, how they've named it. So we recognize that there are, nothing is perfect, but it does bring you along the lines of, let's have those conversations. We cannot And we should not, and it's best not to deny our young people who are, to be fair, you can be on any public transport. And if you see a child, a small child and an adult, what is the child doing?
That's right. It's usually on some kind of electronic tablet or something like that.
Yeah. And so what we need to do, we need to then encourage them to, like I said, harness that technology, have the conversation. Because none of the technology, regardless whether it be calculators or AI, none of it's going back in the box. Those horses have already bolted. What those horses are doing is getting faster and quicker. So in order for us to keep up, and in order for us to overstand and or harness the power of, because it does have power. I remember back in the day having the encyclopedia. It wasn't Britannica. There was another one. It was Brown. It will come back to me. But we had the encyclopedia, and if you needed to know anything, you'd go into that encyclopedia. If you want to know anything in terms of locations or anything like that, you'd go for that encyclopedia. And there was another encyclopedia, a medical encyclopedia. There was another encyclopedia in terms of herbs that I remember getting from I was going to say Eastcote Lane.
Petticoat Lane?
No, the one just by East Street. Yeah, I knew East somewhere there. So I remember getting, a Bible from there. Yeah, Baldwin's getting a medical. I can't even remember, Back to Eden book, and it had a lot of lotions, potions, what you can do, can't do. So all of that information that I used to flick through and couldn't even remember which page it was on unless I'd left the tabs. And after a while, the tabs just became so numerous that in of itself, it became not as useful. I can now go to my large language model, and as long as I ask the right questions, I can get out an answer that I can then ponder over and work out, is this going to take me one step further in my understanding, or is this going to just confuse me even more?
Right. Let me hold before you go further away from the point of where I'm. It's important to get the fundamentals right. Right? It's important to get the formulas right. Okay? Because even when I was in the engineering, right? The amount of times I would get somebody come in and they would say to us, oh, like for instance, tires, right? Compounds of different rubbles and things like this, right? Chemistry which that would be involved in, right? And then even from them saying, oh, the compound of this tire is blah blah blah. You've got a series of numbers in there which tells you the speed rating, the compound of the tire, whether it's soft or hard, what type of roads you could use it on, right? And then when I asked, what test are we doing, right? What are we simulating, right? Even though it's in an artificial environment, and I was more than once I've said, you've got the wrong tires for this testing, right? I go, you're looking for a hard road surface in a hot climate. The tires that we've got on there is for like just normal roads, right? So if you've got extreme heat above like 40 degrees, right, these tires would just melt straight away, right? One time they didn't listen to me. And I put it in my notes. Right? They're packing the wrong tires to go on this testing. Right? Week after they arrived there, right? They're doing the testing. Here we go.
You're going funky now.
This is a tire stick. Right? When the fundamentals, and that was just by hearing what they were saying, right? But obviously, because I wasn't there over their shoulders while they were on their computers and everything else, right? I said, no, you've got the wrong tires for that. You've got the wrong things on there. But obviously, because of no, I wouldn't say mine, our, right? Because all craftsmen knew all of that, because that is what we were learned on. We learned all of those things on the foundation of our education as apprentices. So even with that alone, that you survive, because you need to know your fundamentals so that you know how to drive the skills properly or to utilize those skills properly. But when you show a mistake, right, you would know exactly what you're doing. It's not like I would say, let's say you wouldn't jump in the car and you don't know how to drive, right? But you've got an idea of how to do it, type of thing, you know? Yeah. Yes. That's the type of thing that I feel that we are with a lot of this technology. A lot of us have these fantastic tools, their smartphones and everything else. Very few of us know how to use it properly.
Yeah, but taking aside that few of us know how to use it, which is why I say in terms of education system, they should be encouraging the young people to learn how to use it. For example, that was just the human in the loop that they had ignored. So it's still, it just means then that we need to keep the human in the loop, which means we need to listen, because you made a valid statement which proved to be correct. But because they didn't listen, so they heard you, but they didn't listen, the outcome was for them, from a testing point of view, more expensive than it need be. Because they had to either delay, which is going to cost money, and ship out the new tires, again cost additional money, because we've just totaled the first lot through without any, with bearing in mind we didn't need to. So it comes back to the human in the loop. As long as we keep, and when we talk about the human in the loop, it's having that heart-centered, so just using the mind and the logical. The human in the loop gives you that soul purpose, gives you additional something. So, you know, sometimes people cook food and you think to yourself, that tastes really nice. What is it? And there's a secret ingredient that they don't tell you about. And that secret ingredient could just be simply love. And that they needed that, the food, the way they stirred the pot, done so with a bit more love than the average individual. So when it comes out, it tastes different. It tastes like, you know what? I want to go back for seconds. Please, sir, can I have some more? So I'm like I said, I'm an advocate, depending on the prompts. And the thing about the large language models, like I said, we will often put in a word. We know in the English language, we will make allowances, and with many of the other languages, we'll make allowances because we can fill in the gaps. We can feel emotion. So someone's saying that I'm going to give you a present, you know whether or not it's what kind of present it is. If someone says that they're going to be looking in their calendar, you know what, you understand, because they're standing in front of you, you can see the raw emotions, and you can then fill in some of the gaps from what they say. If you input those words into your large language model and you don't provide any context, then you struggle. And it's the context that we often miss out. We're lazy.
Yes.
Putting the first thing.
I was corresponding with somebody a few days ago, right? And they were like being introduced by somebody else on the same chat. Right? They were being introduced to the concept of like doing audio dictation. In other words, speak and it will be written.
Yeah.
No? And very similar to what you're saying, right? Being expressive in your explanations on how you talk, right? It was very important in that way, because obviously the going back and correcting it
is a must.
Yeah, to read it and then says, that's not what I said, that's not how I want it to come over. Like this. And then in doing that, that is where foundation of language, possibly reading the dictionary, reading a dictionary for explanation of words, right, and putting them in the right context, or using them in the right context, will change the actual outcome of what you are trying to express itself through
Most
right?
definitely.
And that is what the person was advising as well. To be expressive, right? Also be linguistic competent as well. Right? Now, obviously, the question came up. Well, how can I do that? Right? And this is from a thick, not as intelligent, a thick sounding Jamaican. Right? And then what they said is read other books, find out how other people write their stories, but not only in one language or one region. Read other styles of books. Read other things, right, that are not even related to something that we would be interested in. Yeah? Just the context and the feel of how other people express themselves, right? So, for instance, you get a reporter who will do a synopsis, right, in newspapers, right? And then you'll get somebody who writes a fiction novel, somebody who would write a sci-fi novel. These are the different types of styles, and you find that once you familiarize yourself with the expressions, right, that is when our vocabulary
changes. Yeah. So I recognize, when was it Last Strong, or possibly the one before that? That was, I think it was the beginning of June, or at some point there was a National Reading Week or National Reading Day, and I think it was it's a worldwide. All schools or most schools will adopt and think about, okay, let's if we don't, well, they do it anyway, but they took greater emphasis on other people coming in. So it's not only just a teacher who is reading, it'd be other family, friends. That I know the Colonel went up to Moortown and others to Moortown Primary School and was reading with the children. So it's through the reading that we can, like you say, help to expand the mind, help to allow the mind to travel to those far-flung places, and or within that imagery that the author has presented to us. With that said, I agree with you, as young people, there is a need to read more. Does the technology help with that? To be fair, it can help, as in there are things called audiobooks, yada, yada, that enable you to do it a lot faster and or consume a lot more. And some children may be, that may be the way they learn. They're more auditory. So we can, both groups, those who are visual and those who are auditory, can both consume the written text. The thing is that for me, I don't know whether or not there are enough young people who are consuming the written text. So then by the time, from a language point of view, they may or may not be able to formulate their language, explain themselves in a way that helps the other person and brings the other person over the threshold. So that means they can agree, they both understand what they're talking about, and then they can move forward with either a positive or a negative, but we understand why it's negative, or we understand why it's positive, but we can both move forward because we understand the language. We've built that rapport. We put it in context. We are speaking adult to adult. But unless you've got the foundations, like you say, in terms of the reading skills or the ability just to communicate to others clearly, then you will struggle.
No, very little. Yes, okay then. I think I've got to get a new switch over unit because I think that it's dropping out. It's dropping out its connection on there. Anyway, let me continue. This is a thing to move on to another segment of that, right? Public presentations as well, right? Public presentations, right? Or public speaking, oratory speaking, right? This is very important as well, right?
Yes.
First of all, to find your own voice,
Yep.
right? And then to be able to speak on any subject or most subjects, right, with confidence,
Yes.
right? The fundamentals of that obviously is what you know, right? So that you can speak into what you know, right? And if you don't know, then you just say, you know something, I'm going to do some research on that, and I'm going to come back to you with an answer if it's necessary. Yeah. Right. Now, obviously, like what we're saying, like through the education system and everything to develop our language, right, of expression. This has been one of those things that has been taken advantage of, unfortunately, by the loudest man or person in the room, right? Hence, that's why we've had, obviously, incompetent clowns at the head of the table, and all of a sudden, they're leading the country, right? Why? Because they're the loudest person in the room, and everybody's kiki and kakaka behind them, right? And unfortunately, this has been to the detriment of most of us, right? Now, there is another reference I use on that. The to-in and throwing of two of our iconic persons of our time, or say prior to our time, Marcus Garvey, right, who worked at his presentations, right? And there's W.D. Du Bois, right? Who also worked at his presentations, right? Who else? Okay. Reverend Martin Luther King worked at his presentations. Understand? It wasn't a case of that they could come up there straight away and they were sounding so elegant and powerful. They worked at it. Understand? Right? In various manuscripts, looking at other speakers, right? And then formulating their words of expression, their way of doing their presentations, right? So in doing that, even to put that back into what we're speaking about, technical, and then using the tools to to be an expression of yourself. Right? It's not that we should be running away from it. Although I might sound like the protagonist here, but not that we're running away from it. It's a fact is that we're the ones who should be ahead of it. And don't be afraid to utilize these tools, but don't lose yourself with that tool.
And so if I think about the tools as they are, some of us will think, okay, I've got to deliver a presentation, whether it be in the church, whether it be at work, whether or not it be a family function, whatever the case may be. And because I don't really want to do that. I don't like speaking.
Yes.
Get away from the blank page.
Yeah.
The tools can help you to have a start. Exactly the same as you mentioned in terms of those leaders of the past. They used other people's writing in order to get them away or to add to their what they were going to say as they were. So the tools can be used to get rid of that that fear of that blank paper looking at you. The other thing that I realized within the working world was that just because our leaders, senior managers were there doing the presentations, you don't always see them practice, and they may not necessarily be the person who wrote it all. You have other members of staff who I realized, and I was sometimes one of them, who started the ball rolling, then someone else looked at it, corrected it before it got to the senior manager, who put their signature on, changed a few words, and then it went out to the members of the public. Maybe, or they were standing in front of a committee and they needed to explain something, and I was part of that larger wheel that with information. So that said, I would, in the past, I never went to or engaged with services or places such as Toastmasters. But I would encourage that if there are those that are family that are listening and they don't feel comfortable speaking, but they know that's something they want to master, it's something that they need for their job, for their church, for the whatever the case may be, that they do take the opportunity to find the local Toastmasters, because they are all over the world.
Right. Could you explain could you explain what the Toastmasters actually is, please?
So Toastmasters, in my humble understanding, is a space where individuals can go. They will learn the art of speaking. They will learn the art of leadership. They will learn the oratory art, but they will also learn the arts of communication, putting together speech or a subject. So what they tend to do is, you recognize that, hang on a minute, sometimes someone says something to you and you think to yourself, where do I start? And then you're so much in your head in terms of where to start that you don't start. And then you end up kicking yourself up and down the alley thinking, oh, well, I should have said this, could have said this. What Toastmasters will encourage you to do in that instance is, if you don't know what to say automatically, and you may hear a politician or someone in authority doing this, is that they repeat the question. In repeating the question, it gives you thinking time in order to think about, okay, answer. Where am I going to start with this answer? That may be a case of recognizing what your question is, but I don't even know where to start. So this is the question I'm going to answer. Politicians do it, but they do it in a lot more a smoother way, whereby they don't actually tell you they're not answering your question, they just don't answer it. But Toastmasters encourages you to, hold up. You may say, I don't know the answer to that question, but what Toastmasters will also do, was give you a subject. It could be any subject, any topic, and it'd be a minute, and they do time you, whereby you're encouraged to talk about something that's so far off field you wouldn't even have thought about it. But to come up with a response in a minute, and it's all timed. So you get an opportunity to hear your voice. You get an opportunity to practice. Like you get an opportunity to grow your wings on the way down as well as on the way up, in terms of as you improve, as your confidence grows, so the thought of yourself just standing up in front of people no longer give you the heebie-jeebies. Like, you think to yourself, okay, and if you're in a room and your energy level's at the right level, just because someone's the loudest person in the room doesn't mean that you don't join the conversation, engage in the conversation, and walk away and think, you know what? Yeah, I said my piece. I agreed or disagreed, but I was able to communicate in a way that all those present heard what I said and understood what I said. Because sometimes we hear what people say, but we don't always understand it. And we all nod and smile and say, yeah, we understand, but none of us have the confidence to ask the person to repeat it and or to rephrase it. Someone familiar with Toastmasters or familiar with uncomfortable with speaking doesn't have a problem with asking someone to, please, can you rephrase it, just so that I can get my understanding, recognize what you're saying. That will help me in order to respond to you clearly. So they tend to, there'll be every day of the week in some boroughs. So different boroughs will have their Toastmasters on different days of the week. Some of them will be every Tuesday in the central London. Some of them will be once a month. But there's so many, and then there are offshoots.
Do you have that at all in Jamaica?
So there's Toastmasters worldwide.
Worldwide.
Right, and what they do is that as you gain your confidence, and sometimes you just go there and sit down and listen.
Yes.
Again, you're in an environment whereby other individuals who are exactly like you, or may have been exactly like you, some people have been going there for 10, 20 years, 5 years, and they would have been in the same situation as you, not always feeling comfortable and or confident speaking aloud. But you can, and they do competitions whereby the final competition gets all the best Toastmasters from all over the world, not only just the countries. That means they're the best one in the UK against those in the Americas, against the Canadas, against all over the world. And there'll be a final event whereby you get an opportunity to show and demonstrate your oratory skills.
Okay.
So in the education system, I would imagine in some schools, that's taught as a normal standing up and speaking in front of people.
Yeah.
In schools, I would say no.
Yeah. Listen, you know what it is. I'm always going by my experience. I don't know what it is like in the schools of now, but I know that Britain has changed it's the, how can I say, it's branding, because everything is it used to be like grammar school, now they call it academies and things like this, right? So in that way there, is it a plastic cover? Is it a plastic cover over everything, right? So, but as I'm not really have that interaction at that level within that schooling system, I couldn't really add anything to that at this time.
I couldn't add anything to that. All I recognize is that sometimes we say that some children just are born entertainers and they will be able to stand up and speak, and they potentially go through life as long as they have the encouragement to do just that. But we then recognize that there are some children who are quiet. We don't understand why they're quiet. We don't comprehend, and they'll go through life being quiet. But Toastmasters can give the quiet young individual, the quiet child, as well as those who are the loudest in the room, an opportunity to come together and to learn their craft, whereby you just feel comfortable talking.
Yes.
It's not that you're going to be standing in front of a group of 10, 20 or 100. It's the fact that you feel comfortable in standing in any space.
That's
and
right.
engaging in a conversation, not only with your friends and or family, your nearest and dearest, but with anybody.
And this is what I like. I do like to see individuals that are okay. They find it challenging, right? But they overcome it. Hence, that's why I enjoy going to like karaoke and things like that.
Well, and that's the thing. Karaoke is another space whereby sometimes people say, "Oh, well, I don't like karaoke or whatever." You're going to get within karaoke those who sing like an angel, and you're going to get those who sing like an angel. That's not.
Yeah.
That's just enjoying life.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just, you know what? And for me, something I was looking at and reading and just going through recently about the playful child. Karaoke just gives some people just the opportunity of just being a playful child. And what's wrong with that?
Yeah. What is wrong with that? Yeah.
It's and sometimes we don't laugh too much. Sometimes we always want to be in that adult state or that critical parent state or that frustrated state. But that playful child, that happy child, that's what karaoke does.
Yeah. Because you lose all your inhibitions in that way.
Yeah, you can. Without.
Yeah.
I'm not saying do it whereby you've got alcohol induced or anything like that. Just tap into that playful child.
Yeah.
And take away all the comments and think, okay, they're going to think that. The fact that if they do think that, I'm going to use the word should we care? And if they do think that, what does their thoughts, why does their thoughts impact how I see myself? Love yourself. I'm here having fun with my friends.
And this is why I do. One of the reasons why is that when you get out somebody who we know tone deaf, but they're just going for it.
They're just belching it out.
They're going for it, and then when they finish, it's like they sung at Wembley or something.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people. I admit it. My cousin would tell me that, you're tone deaf. I remember singing in front of the Queen. I don't know how I managed to get that gig. It was in a choir, so I could. At that point, I'm just going to hold up my hands and said the tone was the right tone for that audience. I've stood up on karaoke and I thought to myself, I chose a song because I know it in my head, but when I sing it, it doesn't sound anything close.
Exactly.
The artist.
It never does. It never does.
Once I get over that, well, it doesn't sound as right. Let me just try and catch up. Let me just aim to keep up. Let me just put something together. Let me just do the ooh and the ahs and the whatever in order to do the filler words or the filler tunes. But in doing that, my reasoning is let's feel comfortable with standing up in front of a group of people you don't know and just have some fun.
But then again, it's the same like people calling in as well. That when they do call in, right? As you know, when they do call in, we give them a little bit of extra time because obviously it's not necessarily the first thing that they want to speak. What they're speaking about is what they want to speak about. So, in that way. In saying that, let's figure out the number on 0203-289-6504, right? How confident are you to be expressive? And also, ancestral voices. Black Wall Street. Well, that as I did share on that one day, it was the rebuilding of Black Wall Street as well. So that was a theme of the ancestral voices this strong. on the galaxyofawee.net on the Blacknificent Radio Show with Sister Sandra and myself, Aston, and we are here ready for your calls on 07 and also on 074 953 95360 and also on 0203 576196. Okay, so you can call us on any of those lines there, sir, as well, right? So I'm here with Sister Sandra, who's telling us about some technological developments and looking at the AI and how we can actually navigate ourselves around incorporating, I'm not going to say around it, incorporating it within our new level of communication and creation as well.
Yeah, definitely from a creation point of view. Whether it be if it's looking at images and you're thinking about logos and you're thinking about posters and you're thinking about being creative and you're delivering a presentation. And back in the day, we'd always, well, historically, I'd look at PowerPoint as one of the tools and all. I wouldn't use Google Slides as much. I'd more use PowerPoint. In order for, and then to use the images on PowerPoint, I remember when it used to just black and white images, it was always the stick images, the stock photos, and then we were allowed to use additional photos, and that then expanded. Because I'm thinking if I'm standing in front of a group of young people, or I'm standing in front of a group of colleagues in the workplace and I'm delivering a course, I want to engage those that are, like I said, not only those who are listening, but those who are visual learners, those who are auditory learners, those who are I wanted to capture all the learning types and having slides which are used as a tool. And again, I think about the slides in exactly the same way as I think about AI. You can be speaking for 30 minutes and have 30 slides, or you could have 100 slides in 30 minutes. And all you're doing is standing there reading off the slides. Or you can have 5 slides for those same 30 minutes. But because of how the slides have been put together, you are talking around the slides. And for me, I always want to talk around the slides, and I always want the slides to enhance the communication, not to be the only source of communication. These are things which I've over the years recognized and learned. So that's why I say AI can be used in exactly the same way. And you can now, with the use of AI, make use of the various presentation AI tools, but then from an image point of view, whereas Adobe used to be have the forerunner in relation to Adobe, relation to images, and you'd have to buy the images or your stock images or etc. And they had thousands and thousands of pages, but because of how it was set up, there were many who didn't have access or didn't know it was there or just didn't use it. Now with the various AI tools, there are so many opportunities. There are so many opportunities to create presentations that are just, as they say, beautiful.
Hold on just a moment. I just found something in the studio. I'm thinking, what's that doing there? Somebody's left something in the studio. Anyhow, yes, this is the thing that we have to really do, right? Like with everything, technological wise, it moves on in development, right? Hold on, it moves on with development. As I say, we have to embrace some of the changes that is coming with this thing, right? Unfortunately to say, there's some of us who are stuck in the mud, you know. Some of us who are stuck in the mud. right? And obviously, the technology that is out here right now is not being user friendly towards those who want to stand still, right? Whereas previously, you know, those who wanted cash in hand, tangible goods that you could go out and buy and shop. Life is not really allowing you to do that, and if you do it, it's probably 10 times harder now to find exactly what you want, right? So therefore, you just get what you can, or make do as such, you know, if you're going to be a stickler in that way. Quality, oh my gosh. The quality of items, right? Obviously, we're at the mercy of the imagery, false imagery, of some items, and then when the item actually arrives, it don't look nothing like that, and it doesn't function the way how it was described in the advert and things like this, you know. But obviously, trial and error, and, you know, buyer beware in that way, yeah. Also, there's also the fact is that it still gives us as individuals an opportunity, which I'm looking into myself as well, to have our own businesses, our own shops, right? I think that is long overdue for us anyway, because of the amount of things that we have access to and what we've been utilizing over the few years that we've been doing this program together, right? And also the information that could be fed through our medium, right? I think is very important, and associated other mediums as well, right? We have to be in the mix. We should be in the mix of all of that, but also for those to feed into it, like our listeners, right? And also those people of interest as well, so that there's an avenue of information that is they can feed into, right? And also us being providers, our facilitators of the program, right? I feel that we have to step up our game as such. I mean, you are doing a fantastic outreach and facilitating, putting yourself in a position to facilitate not only for yourself but for others as well, right? Every opportunity is a learning opportunity, right? And we should be taking advantage of that as well. Yeah, so right, we're doing. I think that we're doing very well. We're in a good place. We're in a good space at this time. I don't have any apprehensions or any worries at this time. Anyhow, I don't know. I don't know how you see it, but you know, that's how it goes. How you see it?
No, I'm that's it was interesting. You were speaking about your Earth Strong, and two things I've heard from two different people in different groups. One being Forbes Riley, and the other one being the 30-Day Miracle Challenge. Two individuals are saying we'd come to the 1st of July. And as you said, a number of us would have done and they were saying the same thing, a number of us would have done the 1st of January. We're going to be setting the resolutions. And over the last 6 months, we may or may not have achieved them. We may or may not have got as far as we'd intended. But then use the next 6 months as your batting ram in order to, this is now my next step.
That's right.
Embrace the next 6 months as if it's the beginning of your year to say, this is what I'm going to This is what I'm going to achieve. Set your own objectives. Reset your goals. Look at what you did well last time round and celebrate it. And look at what you think you didn't do as well and celebrate it, because as long as there was movement, then there was opportunities. Think about if you've not provided yourself with a word for last year or for the beginning of the year. Think about a word that will take you through for the next 6 months. That's your word. That's your power word. That's your word that's going to allow you to keep the movement going. For me, one of the things that I tend to say on arising on a regular basis or even throughout the day, I will say, giving thanks for the opportunity of seeing this beautiful new day or seeing this beautiful day. Then that from a procrastination, destroying it with action, fear, burying it under faith, and doubt, disseminating it with confidence. And that was a mantra that I'd read in, what book was it? It was in, the book will come back to me, but it was a book I read recently, or I've been reading, World's Greatest Salesman.
Okay.
O.G. Mandino, I think it is. But yeah, it was one of the chapters within that book. Those words just jumped out at me, and I thought, yeah, I embrace that thought process, that whereby there's the fear, bury it under doubt, or doubt, bury it. So if there's fear, bury it under faith, and if there is doubt, you want to dismember that with confidence, because you're thinking to yourself, and I'm thinking to myself sometimes, yeah, I have those thoughts in the head that am I good enough, etc., etc. So in me cancelling those thoughts, I change the narrative. So give yourself then the honor and the privilege that if you've seen this side of the year, embrace it, and to do that as a reset, whereby you can achieve what it is that you said you're going to achieve. Because to be fair, none of us are clocked out just yet at this point in time. So let's embrace and let's move forward.
Yeah. That is so timely. And the thing is, I bet there are going to be those who are listening and say, "Oh, they must be reading the same thing." I listen. I did not read that. This is of my own fruition, right? Of what I was speaking into, right? These are the things that obviously, let's say, there's a synchronicity of line of thought and a line of development that is a thread right through what is happening here. Okay? So not only here on the Blacknificent show, right? But you might see those things happening other platforms and other ways, right? So even if you hear what we're speaking into here now, right? Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if over the next few days, right, that you may hear somebody else speaking in the same manner, right? And yes, they had listened to our show and they're taking our note. What I'm saying is that there's a line of train of thought and action that is happening right now, right? One of the things that that I do, that I do the My Day, right? But also using that day as a new year. So in other words, that is my new year resolution, various blah, 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 and everything else, right? Which is, in my opinion, if we all took that stance, how powerful would we be? Because we would be making that New Year's resolution towards our personal life, our personal development. You understand? So, like for instance, I'm doing that course next year, or February next year, of management, right? management and project management, right? So I'll be doing that course, and it's an intensive course for a year. Well, right? And also like taking on other projects that I can assist on as well, right? Like, for instance, like what you're doing. How can I assist you or make myself available for that in a way? You understand? So in that way, dear, I'm still in the learning. I'm in the learning. I'm in the activation. I'm in the activation of what's necessary right now. Yeah. So I think I'll have to postpone my actual retirement another 30 years or so ish. Right. So we'll see how things go. We'll see how things go on. Anyhow, I hope to be in the sun, in the land of the sea and the sun. Anyhow.
There was someone that was speaking on Tuesday, and he mentioned he mentioned his age, and he mentioned retirement, and I was thinking to myself, retirement is just a number. We get hung up on assuming that, and I've said this before, assuming that I'm not intending to check out anytime soon.
Oh, exactly.
It just means you're moving another chapter. You're just moving into another chapter. It's almost like a bright and beautiful new day. And you're thinking, okay, I have recognized and given thanks for the things that happened yesterday. I'm just grateful that I've opened my eyes this morning, get another opportunity of spending my daily bread.
Yes.
And in that, these are the things that I want to achieve today.
All right then. All right. Listen, I'm very aware of your request that you have to be leaving off in a while.
Yeah.
Right. Let's do a early summarization, and then I shall have a celebratory outro this strong here as well. Okay.
Okay.
Let's do this.
So it was interesting in terms of the ancestral voices that you played, and it was only two at the end. I only heard it. I was listening to it, but there was that encouragement for us to grow what we eat. But then there was also the encouragement of as business owners, the support that one business owner is able to get or give to the community, and recognizing then that the community may choose to go somewhere else because they've got the ability to ship in the large containers, etc. But we should not ignore what is on our doorstep from a community point of view, and the additional benefits that within that space that they are providing to their community. They were looking to serve beyond them. It's not only just coming in and picking up an item and a goods and leaving. There was a lot more that they were offering the community and all those who come in. So that was just a beautiful share in terms of bringing it forward, bearing in mind that space and that shop that was there back in the day and how it can serve the community today. And then the conversations we need to have within that smaller community that we can then replicate it. And our conversations have been in light of technology and always remembering to remain and keep the human in the loop. So the technology is there. So we spoke about it in terms of giving an example of calculators and when those were first brought in, and the thought process that the education system had around that, but they managed to adapt. And the tests have got harder and or longer, and they're looking for different things. So getting the answer in a math test isn't going to give you the most amount of marks. The working out how you got there, which may have taken at least 3 or 4 or 5 different calculations, are the things that's going to give you the marks. You express the thought that technology can be a hindrance, and that there's a potential for having two types of exams, one with the pen and paper, solely brain power, and the other with the technology. So our conversation just went back and forth in relation to the benefits of, so we both recognize the benefits of the communication, both recognize the benefits of the technology. It's just how it's implemented and how it's used, whether it be in the education system and or wider. We also spoke about the technology in the working space, and you gave an example of working and looking at the outcome of a report that was produced using technology at the time, and putting in a suggestion which was a valid suggestion that was not necessarily adhered to or listened to. And when the testing took place, your thoughts behind the tires and the wear and the tear were true. Which brings our conversation back from a technology point of view, that the human in the loop must be respected. The heart and soul of the human in the loop needs to be respected, because it's not just about the head, it is about the heart. It is about so the head will tell you some of the prompts, the head will tell you some of the information, but if we're having a conversation as human beings in this physical form, as souls in this physical form, we often fill in the gaps. So we can start a conversation in the middle and work out, the person we're speaking to can work out exactly where we are, but the technology doesn't work like that. So we just need to be mindful of, and I do and can deliver training and courses that will help individuals grasp the technology, be mindful of the technology and what they're putting in. We then also had a conversation, we brought it full circle when we're speaking about speaking and the oratory skills. And I mentioned Toastmasters as a space where individuals who may not necessarily feel comfortable speaking out loud in any space, whether it be the workplace, space, the home space, wherever, on the friends and family, they've got something to say, but they don't necessarily know how to say it. Toastmasters is an opportunity and a space where they can learn the art of speaking, learn the art of giving themselves time in order to formulate what they're going to say, also learn the art of leadership, and learn the art of just having fun amongst a group of people who are also learning the art of communication. And then we spoke about karaoke, and that being a space where individuals can just have fun, and the playground can come out. And why do we go to a karaoke, or we're in a bar and karaoke is taking place and we choose not to? I would say choose to allow your inner child to play and just have fun. Why not?
Actually, let me pick up on that point there. Letting a child have fun. It was yesterday. Yesterday, I was just taking a moment to just have a beer. Right? I do that occasionally.
Occasionally. And it's only one occasionally.
Yeah. Anyhow. And there was this young child, and he was just playing. He was playing, and he was just rolling on the floor and that. But he was just having fun, you know. And then the mother looked at me and she says, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I said, "No, I goes, leave the child. I goes, children are supposed to express themselves. This is what children do, you know." And the fathers looked at me as if to say, I said, "No." I goes, "Listen, what happens is that us adults keep getting in the way of a child developing, right?" I goes, "This is him expressing and playing. So I goes, just leave him. He's okay. He's okay." You know, but obviously they were kind of
embarrassed and shamed, and they're thinking that their little boy is making too much noise. And as children, we start in that childlike state, but because of our socialization, we can either maintain it or we lose it. And as our parents tell us, or tell us off or apologize on our behalf, we learn to think, hang on a minute, maybe I shouldn't be laughing. And as you said that, the thought that came to my mind is that you can buy most children, depending on the age, a present. It's not necessarily the box. It's not necessarily the present that they're excited by. It's the imagination that they're excited by the box. That all of a sudden becomes a plane, becomes a this, becomes a house, becomes a that. And you think to yourself, why is it I've spent X number of pounds, dollars, cents, whatever on this item that's all singing and all dancing. And for an hour, they've looked at it, and dismissed it, and it's the box. And unless I clear up the boxes, they would still have been playing with that said box. And it's
It's true.
It's just one of those things. But do we harness it? Do we discourage? And I would say more often than not, we do discourage our children.
I know. So I'm sorry, my child, but boy, you know. Yeah, let you go climb that tree. Go on now, go on. You will find out.
Yeah, but then when they climb the tree and they fall down, they will bounce. And they will see that as exciting. Whereas we say, okay, take the tablet, and if they sit down on the tablet, is it exciting? Who's imagination?
The only thing excited is the brain, but their body is not developing in them ways there.
Are they? I don't even know. From a brain point of view, are they developing the brain, or are they developing someone else's brain, someone else's thought patterns?
Well, obviously they've been programmed, but yes.
Yeah, but it doesn't enhance their thought pattern. Is what I would say when they're swiping, and they keep swiping. And it becomes a smaller and smaller. They look at it quickly and then move on. Look at it quickly, then move on. Are they looking at it because they've consumed it all? Are they looking at it because they're no longer interested? Are we creating the minute by minute? If it's not interesting me in the next minute or next 30 seconds, and I'm moving on. And in some sense, that's the question I would ask.
This is the thing. They started with MTV. I blame them. I blame MTV in the first place. Right, because that was the imagery and that was the formula how they used to do their video. Yeah, quick. Yeah, and now things there. And now look what they got. You got all these fidgety type people around. Have no concentration for themselves. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us this strong here on the Blacknificent Show, my sister Sandra. Right, and we hope to see you in the near future as our paths cross again.
Yes. Thank you, family.
All right. Go drink some coconut water for me now.
I will. I'll eat some breadfruit as well.
Breadfruit. Oh gosh, is it that season? Rainy.
Well,
yes, it is.
With the amount of rain and sun we're getting in equal measures, we're getting beautiful, beautiful, beautiful breadfruit.
They swell up like hell now.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I won't be thinking of you in any way whatsoever at all. Hold on. I think I got a call. Oh, here we go. Look at this. Lastminute.com. What happened to you? Why you never come in earlier?
I was listening, but there was something came up just now, and that really brought me to come in. I was really listening. Especially when you talk about children and something you were saying about AI. And just very quickly about the AI situation. You see, there's something which I have learned that, there's a way that saying anything that the mind can perceive, it can
do, yes.
It can do, you know what I mean? Right? And anything you ever said, if it's in your mind, that means it's something that can be brought to life. You understand what I'm saying, So I'm not afraid of development, because there's still things that we probably have not even come across as yet.
Oh, yes.
Right? There's so many things that we probably haven't come across with. As I said, when I think back, in '95, when I was trying to go back to Africa, and it was we was only 30 something years ago. There was no computers was not even really there properly. It was there, but not really much in our hands.
That's right.
We have typewriter, typesetting to go back to Africa to do typesetting, and within a year, bam, there was computers and all this sort of thing. So that out with, and it shows you how far technology has moved since then.
Exactly.
Within 30 years, and that thing that you saw big in your room, it's now in your hands. You can do work that you can do.
We all live in the Star Trek life.
Well, exactly. And, again, you just mentioned Star Trek. Again, it's something, again, I'm sorry to have to bring in my religion into it, but not
Hold on. Pause there a second. Don't be sorry to bring your foundation into whatever, right? We facilitate all, yeah?
Yeah, okay. Well, it's just a bit of knowledge, because, when you talk about being up Scotty and so forth, I mean, having come to things like that, I come to realize, there was a thing where Solomon, when Solomon encountered the Queen of Sheba, and it was actually a bird that gave him information about the Queen of Sheba. And she was very far away. And he was working with the jinns and other things like that. And he said, who can bring me her throne before he could come to me, whatever it is?
Yes.
And one of them said, look, I can bring it to you before you get up from your seat. Right? Now imagine having to go to Ethiopia or where she was, or Yemen or where she was, and get back before he even get up from his seat. You're not beam me up, Scotty?
Yeah.
Yeah? And another one said, I can get it before you even blink. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this beam me up, Scotty, is not something...
Ain't nothing new.
These are something that is happening and can happen. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not surprised of anything that happened. Because these things are there.
You know what? You know something, right? I know that we talk about like our ancestors and everything else, right? But look at the development that they had, and they were utilizing it left, right, and center, right? Remember the Empire of Benin, right? They had. Was it? What do they call it now? Light. They had street lamps, right? They had street lamps, right? From the phosphorus minerals. Yeah. Remember, like what was said to us, that the eyes on the Sphinx, right? The eyes on the Sphinx was of that phosphorus material, so that in the night you could see the eyes of the Sphinx. Yeah. Can you imagine that, though? Right? Imagine that you just stand up there in the middle of all of this thing here, and you from miles away you could see this eyes looking at you. Yeah, you understand?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was supposed to be, so listen, I'm not surprised of anything when somebody says, I can do this, or they've seen this, or done that.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me. You understand me? But many people doubt these things, but I don't doubt these things, because I believe that anything, as I said, that you can put in your mind, it means that it's a reality. It can be. You understand? It's not just imagination. It's a reality.
Saying that, I remember when I went to Luxor Temple. You know the one. You know that famous one that they moved from the bed of the Nile, and they moved it to a higher plane, higher land, rebuilt it. Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. I went into that. And what was said to us one time, right, is that they've got the paintings on the ceiling are tremendous. But the only way you could see, and what it was somebody that went there and they were showing him, right, the paintings on the ceiling of the temple, right? Mm-hmm. So hear me with my far self now. We walked into the chamber, right, where they had the two figures, with the pharaoh and the queen there, and then I looked up, and I had in my bag a torch, right? So I said to the people, the ones who were standing around me, I goes, look at this. I goes, look at the ceiling, like that. They said, I can't see anything. I go, really? And I switch on the torch, and it's like the whole ceiling just come to life because it was in full color in them ways there, right? And of course, the security now was like, oh, what's going on here? And they wanted to throw me out. And I said, no, because all I'm doing, I'm just showing them the beauty of what the temple is, right? And like it's like because they want to try and keep everything to themselves, right? They didn't want anybody to know about this thing and all that type of thing, you know. So I said, hey, look at this. No matter where we go, they're still trying to hide the evidence.
Yeah.
They're still trying to hide the evidence.
These are things that we have to get over and try to understand that, as I said, you know, stop putting doubt in anything. Because, you know, you just don't know what can be. Right? I mean, the people 100 years ago, they couldn't imagine computers.
Yes.
You understand? They couldn't imagine. You understand me? These things they could not imagine. But look at them now. I mean, you know, think the electricity has always been there. But since it's been put together, look at how fast the world has developed. I mean, it is advanced.
It is increasing. The speed of technological development is increasing even as we speak.
Exactly. You know, the world has moved on the speed that we could not, the time that it will take people to do things, years and years ago. We're now able to do that within milliseconds.
Well,
this is so far.
That was the base of what we're talking about. We've only started talking about that side of it, but we're let's say Miss Sister Sandra and myself, right? So that we'll introduce this segment, right? As you know, bit by bit, because if we go straight into what is available and what level we're supposed to be operating at, I think it would frighten a lot of people.
Oh yes,
so therefore, let's do it step by step, right? And as we progress over the next 6 months, right, we shall ramp up to what level we're supposed to be engaging in this thing in as well. But we're not afraid. We're not afraid of it, right? But we should be in control of it and play our part in this properly as well, you know?
Certainly. I mean, I would say a lot of people seem to be afraid of development, but I would say I'm not afraid of development because I know that things will develop. Nothing will stay the same. And, so, I mean, I remember, back in the 80s, early 90s, when I bought my house, and I had visions of how it would be. You know, you'll go into a room and you'll click this and that will happen and this will happen, you know. And you understand me? And when my brother-in-law came, because he was young, he was into technology, and he was always impressed by what he saw when he came in, you know.
Dimmer light. Remember the dimmer light them?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they had the lamp. Remember, they had the lamp that you could touch the lamp and like either turn it up or down or switch it off just by touching it. Remember that one there?
Yeah, and people come in and say, boy, this is a doll's house. I said, what do you mean? But it's just a different, you know what I'm saying? I was always thinking in advance of what was there. It's like, even like building my home in the Caribbean, I was thinking, I designed it. So I'm saying, wait a minute, this is a hot place, right? This is well back in the early 90s. And I'm saying, well, wait a minute. We have the fridge, that's fine. But you have food that you know, here, food can last very long because the weather is cold. You can put it down and till 3-4 days, it doesn't spoil. Why? Because it's cool.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? So I'm saying, well, what you need to do is, yes, you have the fridge, but you need to have where the food is being stored, it needs to be cold.
Cooler.
You understand me?
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
So in the future, I have to develop an area where when you put your groceries and other things in there, the temperature is not. It can last for a long time.
Yeah, but the thing is, over here, they used to have that. They used to have the larder. They used to call it the larder.
The larder, yeah.
Remember
but the
that?
point is, but there you would have to put something in to make it cold because
right.
You know, if you have a larder there, it will be very hot. So you have to put something to make it cold. You know, that's all the thing I'm trying to, you know, I had in mind to put into the house. You understand me? You know, because you have to be thinking advance. Same thing like I was thinking, well, we're in the Caribbean, so you see like up here they build these shelters for what you call it, bomb shelters and whatever.
Yeah.
No, we have hurricane from time to time.
Every house should have one.
And we should have a room when the hurricane comes.
That's right.
There's a room that you can go in, and that room is safe.
Every house should have one. Every house. That should be standard.
That should be standard.
That should be standard. Yeah.
So all of these things I'm saying is my progressive mind of what I'm seeing that we should be, you know, to put in. And these things I designed the house that all these things should be there. See?
Definitely.
Today, despite of all of that, and hurricanes are coming and things like that, and they have not put a shelter in the house. Because I tell you, I've been home in when Hurricane Hugo come in the 80s, and I see places where all the roof is gone, all buildings destroyed, I mean, and everything like that. You know what I mean? I'm saying, wait a minute, if you have this and things like this come, what will happen? If you don't have this protection.
Well, you know what? It's down to people to have sense and common sense, yeah.
Yeah, it's not common sense, really, as you rightly say.
Right, you know? my brother.
Children. I want to give, as you say, children have a mind of developing and everything. And I remember my daughter, because we had upstairs, and we sometimes, you know. But she developed a way of coming down the stairs. I don't know if you see it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're there, and all of a sudden, boop, 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 this person is coming down the stairs. She turned around and slide down the stairs.
That's right. When my daughter was born, we moved into a house. And the stairs was very steep, yeah. And same thing, because I said, as you know, when she was very young, I said, oh, we need to get one of them child gate, you know, at the top of the stairs, right? By the time the girl could crawl, she find her way out to come down the stairs. I said, well, we don't need to have a gate there. You don't need to have a gate.
I mean, she worked it out for herself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's safety. I mean, say, wait a minute, you know? I mean, you know, that's what I'm saying. Your children, as you already say, you have to allow them to develop themselves.
Yeah.
Let them, you know, because they have a way of working things out for themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's like anything, like any creature. As you watch them, even as they were like young, they always figure out a way how to get through things and over things. And if not, their parents would show them anyhow.
Exactly.
You don't have to worry about. Cat is. Oh, they're hungry. We can save them. No, you need to leave them alone. Let them go eat and find some food for themselves. Right? That's what you need to do.
I mean, I go back with this baby talk all the time. I remember this is even years back when there was this child. I don't know if it was maybe a very special child, but he never used to like to give it this baby talk. You know, and would always like to talk to me like
a proper person. Yeah,
proper person. You know,
that's right. Yeah. That's right.
Because that's the way they will learn. They will learn.
Well, that's it. This is the thing. Because even with me, I used to say that my wife at the time, she would say, "Oh, you're not very maternal in that way." I said, "No." Listen, how is a child supposed to learn it by me speaking this foolness? No, you know, man. If I talk late, then they will learn. They will learn and they come and talk properly. I don't want them come with them and all them things. There you know. And you know, young people.
I remember saying to my brother-in-law, you know, because, you know, he was afraid to go to his parents sometimes. I said, no. I said, yeah, your father is not going to kill you. What? Yes, you were done wrong or something like that, but don't talk to him. Yes, he's going to be mad. But he's going to yeah, I mean, and that is one of the problems with a lot of children.
Yeah.
Go and tell their parents.
It's the worst. It's the worst, man, because they don't want to let their parents down. Yeah.
Right.
Listen.
Because they feel that, oh, I can't talk to dad about this, and they're going to talk to the wrong people.
Yeah, friend.
You understand what I'm saying, right? And the person who they're supposed to go and speak to, which is either mom or dad, they don't go and speak to them. They're going to talk to a friend over there or somebody else over there. But that's not the person who's going to correct or help you with what you're doing. You know?
Right. Listen. Right. I want to do this little segment here to close out the show this strong. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling in. Right. And our sister Sandra as well. She's I think she's left now. Because she's got an appointment to deal with, you know. So thank you very much for joining us this strong on the Blacknificent show. Right. I am going to give you some of this, a movie that I went to go and see a few strongs ago, right? Called Sinners. And this scene you saw, what I'm about to share with you, was excellent. The brother who started this scene off, this sermon off here, right? He grew up in Lewisham, South East London. Oh, come on. Talent is all around us, yeah? Yeah, celebration today. Next up will be our sister Noah. Please
Let's chill out pause again, yeah?
Ever since when every day just a for my heart falling on my face, rolling up my tree. Oh, I can't be the sun, let it be. And only one is just one kiss of the rain from the sky. Tears from my eyes, falling on my face, and rolling up my You will always be just everything to me. Let it be. You're one and only one. Everyone keeps stopping. Tears from my eyes, falling on my face, rolling on my cheek.
Best place.
You notice, a woman them still look good over time. Get to know still fine. Them still look good nowadays. In all kind of wonderful ways, them still look till them on the front page, them still look good. In all kind of wonderful ways, them still look me say the woman them not some years. Me them still a look fresh like a daisy. Some of them a fire like a tree. Some man them a plenty. Some of them and look like a party. Me say them still look good in the party. Some of them are 80 and look like a 60, 50. And them are great. Still look good nowadays. In all kind of wonderful ways, them still look good at them. Them still live on the front page, them still look good nowadays. In all kind of wonderful ways, still look good at them. Me have to give thanks and a praise. Me say a question time, me have to speak it. Come me say how you look so good, say what's your secret. Come me say how your skin so smooth and how you keep it. I guess your body pay your back and how you treat it. It is just that number, it is just a digit. Just another time in a space that you visit. I must say the woman, them a look exquisite. And they've been looking good for a minute. Still look good now. Kind of wonderful way, them still look good at them. Still there, front page, still look good at them. Kind of look good at them. The party. 70, wishing you health, strength, and prosperity. You still looking good. Complimentary. It would not nice if you had this still good around here. Can't say much of the wear and tear. I feel chill here and there. Tell you the truth, them still look good now. In all kind of companies, let's look. Till the back, you look good nowadays. In all kind of wonder.